Starting. Okay, broadcast is starting, stream is starting, so it should be going now. Hey everyone, this is episode 355 of OotiniCast. This is the raw version that then will be edited audio-wise as far as that goes, and it will go out as a podcast tomorrow. The raw version is not only live at twitch.tv/OotiniCast, but then it will be on YouTube under the OotiniCast channel. Let me go ahead and tweet this out. Starting live now. All right. Cool. So, do you need another minute or two, Doc?
Yeah, I'm just saving the mind trap to my PC.
That's fine.
And pasting it into the show notes.
Cool. Yeah, I was looking at doing that, but even the last time I did it, it was still like running, so I didn't.
I set it up so that it would end 2 hours ago.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. My Audacity's rolling, so I'm good on that. I'm gonna make that. There we go. Close that ad.
Guess I need to airplane mode my phone so we don't just get the
That was a lot of them, yeah. You're busy and popular.
Well, one of those was you, Chill. I got the very important tweet.
Yep. Although I sent that a while ago. Wow. It's amazing that you only got that recently.
Time vortex.
Yeah, I think those announcements sometimes do take a while to go through. They're not very instantaneous.
All right. So we got, I guess, a quick must-go update on Master Mode Isaacs. Update on lag spikes. We probably don't need to read that one, Chill.
Yeah. We can skip. I often do put stuff in the notes that we can end up skipping. So
yeah. Okay. So our news. Do you have the celebration stuff added in?
Yeah, it is in there.
We should drag that to the top of the list. That's probably more important than all this stuff.
Okay.
You know, because it's about the future of the game, probably.
I'll do that. Actually, I'll copy and paste it. It'll show up twice, but that's okay.
That's fine, yeah.
I just don't want to lose it by accident here.
Because if we're going to get stuck on something from the news, that's what we want to get stuck on, because it happened 20 seconds ago.
Yep, I agree. All right. Excellent. Hey, Marcus. So are you ready, Doc?
Oh, you said that, and then I realized I'm not in Twitch.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I wasn't joking, or like I seriously don't know which direction is up.
It's been one of those days, huh?
No, it's been one of those months. This is beyond having a day or a week. But it's all good stuff. It's just
Oh, I think it says episode 349 live, but I have to change that. Let's see, let me go to the dashboard if it will let me. No, let's see, hang on. Alright, I would have to sign in for the... I'm gonna have to just change it to the live and not put the episode number on it, because it's really... It bothers me, but I can't... I don't have... I'm not signed in as OotiniCast. Maybe I'm signed in on another one. One sec. I can try that.
we have a not safe for work chat filter on Twitch now.
Okay.
Or something. I've never seen it before.
Okay, so I'm just going to update that. Good. All right, so it should update now. It's actually because this is episode 355. Phew. Okay. That way I won't have to remember every time to change that.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime we're streaming on twitch.tv/OotiniCast, it's always the OotiniCast. I mean, that's the only thing we do with it. So I don't. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, and so your Audacity's rolling. You're ready to go.
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right, then let's get this thing going. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that kneels before the Dragon of Zakuul. This is episode 355, being recorded on Thursday, February 28th, 2019. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
So do I have to cower in fear or follow your commands now, Chill?
I think so. Well, until you break your chains, yes.
All right. To victory it is.
All right. No guests today. We're just doing this off the cuff with the two of us. And there's a fair bit of news, actually, including some very much brand new news that the devs just put out about Star Wars Celebration and the Cantina that will be happening. So we'll be talking about that pretty soon in the news. But first, Doc, what you been up to? What's going on in game?
All right. Well, before I get started, thanks to everyone who's in the chat room. We'll get to you in a minute. Thanks for coming in the middle of the day. I have been.
Oh, hang on a second, Doc.
Yeah.
This might be a temporary thing, but all of a sudden you sounded very like tinny, like robotic. A little data flow issue, maybe, or maybe it's just on my end.
Okay. Well, I can repeat what I just said, and we can edit it out.
Okay.
If you want. All right. Well, thanks, Chill. Before I get started, I want to say, am I still tin?
A little bit,
having a robot?
but it's better. I can actually understand you now.
Okay, so chat room, I'm going to close Twitch for this episode. Sorry that I won't be interacting that way. I think there's too many things on my computer right now. So let's fix that. You have some editing to do, Chill.
That's all right.
All right. Oh, and hi, Eric. 4678. Good to see you too. All right, so I'm closing Twitch and we'll do the episode. All right, so thanks, okay. Chill, and thanks to everyone who's in the chat on Twitch watching us live in the middle of the day. It's good to see all of you. We'll get to you in a minute. So as far as SWTOR goes, I've been doing what I can, which is not a whole lot. I ran OSIS 3 times since the Tuesday. Before this Tuesday, I haven't even logged into SWTOR in a few days, and I guess I'll cover that in a second. But I got 3 of those wonderful artifact loot boxes, and
nice.
none of them benefited me. I disintegrated all. But that led to me getting some boots with the unassembled components. So you turn in 500 to get 1 data crystal, and then you kill the world bosses to get another. So I have my set bonus now just using 252 gear. So that's nice. And it's really hard for me to figure out what I'm going to do in game because I've become accustomed to playing on 2 servers, with Utini and then also with my friends that I've had for years that have really helped keep me in the game. And it's just hard when OSIS is the method for getting better at what you do in ops to play on 2 different servers, because now the data crystals don't benefit the way that you need to help your ops tune. It's like having 2 completely different ops tunes, even though it's all sorcerers and sages. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm preparing for my keynote speech on Monday for the state of Arizona, and I'm also teaching multiple evening courses, which are additional to my actual paid positions. So those are extra contracts. So I'm working too much. And I completed Dark versus Light to the highest level while defending my dissertation and writing it, and now I'm saying too much. So, that's where
Yeah.
I'm at. I'm smiling about it today. I'm doing the best I can to stay involved in the game. I really like the Hive Queen instance. I think that's a great. It's a great addition to that planet, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. And for people who have access to the show notes, I'm teaching so much. I thought I'd drop one of my PowerPoint slides about mindfulness, which if you need a lesson on mindfulness, we all have watched one 100 times. It's called The Empire Strikes Back. So
Right.
if you wanna put your mind at peace and become passive, you'll know. And so who we got in the chat room today, Chill?
All right. Yeah. Well, let's see who we've got. Guildmaster Decion is here. Hey, Deck. Eric's 4678. Japeo. Intis Arner there. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Well, I did mispronounce it. I can almost guarantee that. Kitty Kisses is here. Hey, Kitty. N3TD3V. Pose, Scrubland Shad, Siskaika, VNK, Virgo Praz, Marcus is here as Working Class Nerd 17, and Xander223. Hey everyone, thanks for coming at this unusual time. Of course, you just heard Doc talk about how his schedule's still crazy, and until that until that sort of wraps up and we can kind of go back to an early evening schedule. This is going to be kind of what we need to do to get the show out. So that's what we're doing. As far as what I did in the game, mostly worked on getting my Dr. Doom character all the way through Kotvi and Kotet. I also did some dailies this week to better take advantage of the double CXP, because especially if you're not spacebarring and you're actually doing the chapters, for the story, which obviously I do when I'm streaming, it's not very time efficient in terms of CXP gains. So not the most efficient way to play the game during that week, but it was pretty good. And I got a bunch, like I say, when you do like 4 different daily areas, you get quite a bit of CXP that way. So that was cool. And
Nice.
yeah, exactly. And frankly, I'm on to tier 2 now, so that's good. And frankly, it's like as soon as I get to OSIS, a lot of this CXP stuff is kind of going to go out the window.
Yeah, but that's when the game begins now, Chill.
That's right. That's
Thrill of the hunt.
The new game. Yep. The dark side of the Kotet story feels really different from my more normal, like light or sort of neutral runs. It felt very a lot of it was very Doctor Doom esque for me. It felt really good. My Doctor Doom is sort of based on sort of what I learned about Doctor Doom growing up, because I wasn't a Fantastic Four reader, so I mostly knew him from a few other things that I had read. And one of the main things of these was it was called Secret Wars, and there have been other Secret Wars since then, but this would be the first Secret Wars back in the 80s. And in that one, all the heroes and villains are sort of brought over to this other planet to sort of fight against each other, essentially. And what ends up happening is Dr. Doom sort of very cleverly sort of escapes the battle, goes onto Galactus's ship, and essentially takes over most of Galactus's powers. It's pretty awesome. And it feels very Kotet-like, where I have a non-Force user, a trooper, in Doctor Doom cosplay, and yet he's taking over sort of the powers of Valkorion and the powers of the Emperor. So, and then the Eternal Fleet, of course, as well. So felt really good. Felt very Doctor Doom to me, and I really enjoyed that. It was a really good process to go through, and one of the few times that like playing a non-Force user actually felt really appropriate, because they kind of have to stretch it. Like if you're a smuggler or bounty hunter or whatever, they try to stretch it by saying, Valkorion says, oh, you change the galaxy wherever you go and blah, blah, blah. But, it always feels a little weird to not be a Force user in these chapters. But with this one, it actually felt pretty appropriate. So thumbs up for that. That was pretty awesome. And I hadn't done the Dark Side one for a long time, so it was really interesting to see, like, who comes, who goes, who you can kill. I thought I could kill Kaleo, but it turns out I couldn't, or maybe I made a mistake or something. But couldn't kill Kaleo, but she did scrub floors for a while, so, so she was not happy.
Wait. So can you kill Arik Jorgen?
I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you can.
Because that's the moment you're talking about, right? Where if you
Yeah,
do it.
but I thought you could kill Kaleo as well. But if so, I didn't find it. So
Okay. Nobody wants to kill Kaleo.
well, you know,
Do they? I
I
mean,
don't know.
chat.
I
You guys
usually
want to kill
don't, but I like
Kaleo?
to see. I like to see the different versions. You know.
Yeah,
So,
no, I get it. Yeah.
yeah.
I've never thought about doing that, Chill. I want to know now. Can someone let us know?
Yeah.
Is it possible to kill Kaleo?
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely the last chapter, of course, feels very different because during the dark side event, you end up killing people who would have shown up in the light side, or do show up in the light side version of the final chapter, but instead you have other people. But then, you know, and the whole story sort of ends up more or less the same place, but the way you get there is very different, which is very cool. So anyway, that was my week. So let's move on to the tip of the week. We do have two of them this time. Tip one from Chad. He's sent in tips before. This is just a short and quick one. If Space Barbie is your thing, I recommend not only opening the outfit slots, but also locking in the outfit at lower levels. I haven't checked if there's a cost increased opening the designer slots based on level, but the outfits get more expensive to lock in at higher levels. I wonder why that is. Plus, you can set your style and be recognized forever. May the force be with you. And that's true. I believe the slots are just the cost of the slots are the cost of the slots. I don't think those go up with level, but it's a huge difference. If you happen to have the proper outfit and your character is still like on the first planet, it's only going to cost like 1,000 credits, and it's going to cost like tens of thousands of credits if you're, you know, at max level. So big difference there. So good stuff from Chad. Thank you. And tip two is from Dekion, and Dekion writes, greetings OotiniCast and fellow SWTORians. This week I want to share a tip that will help with the grind for players chasing Masterwork crystals. On each side there's a time-limited mission vendor, and he cycles one of 3 missions every 2 weeks. The last cycle was ranked PvP, this cycle is Galactic Starfighter, and next will be to complete any group finder operation. And so here's my tip. If you pick up the mission, it will not expire when the next cycle begins. For example, if you love running operations, pick up the Group Finder operation mission during its 2-week cycle on all of your alts, and jump onto Group Finder when you want to, even if the next cycle has started. It's a great way to still earn Masterwork crystals while you wait on the time-limited mission to cycle back to your favorite activity. Keep up the good work. May the force be with you. That's a very clever tip.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like that.
I did that backwards and the wrong way. I dropped it to see what the next one was, and then it was GSF.
Okay.
Because I was thinking to myself that it might still be PvP, and I have time to do the PvP version because that's 15 minutes. I don't have time to do an op. But then when I dropped it, it was win 3 GSF matches. And anyone who's listened to me talk about SWTOR ever knows that I'm not very... I just have not invested the time to feel like I'm not good enough skill wise, and I don't think my ships are good enough to hang in those matches either.
Right.
So it's not something I'm going to do, especially since it says win 3 matches. I am the handicap for whichever team gets me.
That's right. Yeah, so. It's a 7v8. Yeah, I know the feeling. I've been in PvP matches where I felt underpowered and felt like I was not helping the group, and that's never a good feeling. So, yeah. Okay, by a random allotment, the winner is Dekion. So congratulations, Dekion. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R Droid pet code, courtesy of Bioware, and a OotiniCast provided Cartel Market Pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And that will bring us to the Jedi Mind Trap. Doc?
All right, so I've been wondering about this one for roughly 20,000 years. But it's a pretty simple question. I just wanted to ask, like I told you, Chill, at the beginning of the week, I have no idea what the mind trap's going to be. I'm not sure if I'm going to be putting one together. But then a couple hours later, I just had a small spark of motivation to just ask, you know, why do we play in guilds? Why do we form these in-game communities and have people that we sort of bind our playing experience to? And so SWTOR has a really good system that encourages people to get stuff done, right? We have Conquest, and a lot of those activities worth the big amounts of points. Like last week when I was looking at the list, if you have about an hour and 15 minutes and people have all their planets unlocked and they have their ships and you have a summons, you could do TFB and then go kill the Xenoanalyst and get 15,000 conquest points. And you can just do those back to back, have a nice little themed evening with the Tron meets Star Wars meets tentacle adult movie. And then you can have all your points and feel like you contributed to a group. So that's my first option. Is option A is, you know, the benefit of a guild is you have groups to do things with, and you have conquest goals that become much more reachable. And then another thing that I've noticed just in playing with groups is that a lot of people do pair a nice relaxing evening with some adult beverages and SWTOR and, you know, just kind of letting loose and having the best part of their week happen online. So I put that as option 2. And then escape, like maybe life is tough and SWTOR is the most positive experience we have during the day. And looking forward to that throughout the parts of the day is an important element of why we decide to log in those evening hours. So let's escape and make life a little bit more enjoyable. And then this is something that I always stand up for when I'm talking to other counselors and other professors, especially when they're complaining about their teenage children playing too many video games. And so I actually advocate for video games on this one all the time, that the people you meet in the game, like maybe you're forming a group and you're killing some bosses in Destiny or even SWTOR or WoW, or, you know, the kind of teamwork activity is the closest thing we have to a sports team, unless you're an athletically oriented person and you're on a sports team. But the teamwork and the, I have this role, I need to do this, that opens up the opportunity for my other teammates to do this. They do their role, and then this role does this, and then we experience success. So, you know, our success comes in the form of bosses dying, and other people's success come in the form of our team had more points when the buzzer rang. So we can't do that without communicating with people. And so for a lot of people, the bonds we form playing video games are stronger than the bonds we form with friends that maybe we live out of state from. We don't actually see them. We have lost our common interests, you know, maybe friends from high school, we can't do anything with them anymore. And so that's option 4. So before I talk about the results, Chill, do you have any thoughts about those 4 very different ways, but still very valid ways of playing Star Wars: The Old Republic?
Sure. Yeah. When it came for me to vote on this, it's a little different for me just because most of the time I'm streaming. So I tend towards the solo stuff, but I do always enjoy it when I do guild runs. And then I had to think, you know, well, was it just because of the grouping up, or was it the Discord peeps greater than real peeps? I kind of settled on group conquest equals fun, because that's, for me, that was the fun part. But to me, it's like the talking is the fun. So I almost could have gone either way with those. Yeah. The help to escape my life is, or you know, that's already why I'm streaming and why I'm playing video games. So
nice.
I don't necessarily need the guild for that part.
Okay.
And I'm not a heavy drinker, so that's not really my thing. But if you know, that could be fun too, though. Actually, I suppose have some sort of, you know, a boozy PvP night or something like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, you know, when I did the new boss with the guild the other week. I think it was before the last show. It was just a lot of fun. You know, everyone's laughing and like helping everyone point out like those special little things you can click on for an extra achievement, and like how the you know, how the fights are gonna go, and making fun of me when I die. I didn't die too much, but I died enough, and I made 1 or 2 like really dumb errors, and fell down a cliff trying to get one of the bonus things one time. That was really fun. But yeah, it was a great time. So yeah, it's kind of both of those for me. But I usually do get on, in a lot of the guild stuff for me is when I'm grouping up with them. So that's what I put.
Okay. For me, I really connect with that last option, especially since I left Florida to be in Arizona to teach, and I basically lost my social circle. And because I stayed active in SWTOR, that's really the only people that I talk to. And then there's some people that I met through Discord that I now talk to. Like they've become my friends. Like in high school, it's very easy. And in college, it's very easy because you're around people who are doing similar things, so you connect with them. And then just this is me sharing part of my job too. There's a shift somewhere after you leave those defined structured activities where now it becomes a whole different thing that we never train people to understand. How do you make friends now? And some people don't find the idea of finding a D&D meetup or going and joining a gym, to meet people, like with the idea to have friends as opposed to personal fitness.
Right.
That's something that if you have that connection to video games, you maybe don't struggle with that whole do I have friends question as much. So 22% of the people who voted lined up with me on that one. The leader was group conquest equals fun. So I think that speaks to having achievements that we can do together.
Right.
That
doing content that you just can't solo, and with the guild, you've got kind of a built-in group potentially.
Yeah, and that makes me really look at how I've been playing. And I mentioned that when you were talking about doing things like Yavin 4 and Shadow of Revan last week, like I really miss doing that, but my mind is so wrapped around what OSIS is and the advancement aspect of that planet that I haven't done anything besides OSIS virtually in the last month. That it actually serves no purpose unless you use the gear for something. So
good point.
It would be cool if I just picked up the heroic and did the Nar Shaddaa heroic 2 pluses, and but I don't do that because for some reason my brain just can't accept that would have value. And that's my own hang up with the game that I'm working on. But I think that the things, if they have conquest points, I think it is easier to jump in. And then the whole thing with the world bosses on OSIS, I want to say this before we move to the next thing, Chill. That doesn't feel like group content to me anymore. It's like I'm playing with 23 bots and I'm just waiting for one of them to say they're a healer. And then the bosses die and the social experiment's over because it's like, I got my crystal, see ya. And then it's like, wait, but I need to kill the droid. And then now 14 of your 24 people are gone because they killed the other boss with a different group. And so that doesn't feel like it's the same kind of content as saying conquest is TFB, that's the group finder tonight, let's do it. But the reward is better for the one that's not really psychologically a group activity.
I see.
So that's something that I've been thinking about too, is like OSIS has twisted my mind. I'm more Geonosian than man, twisted and evil. So I'm sure I messed that quote up.
Yeah,
but
Darth Malora has been working on you.
I guess so. So, thanks to everyone who took the time to vote. I think that's really interesting. And I think it's really great when all the different reward systems for the game converge on certain activities, like beat an op, get the conquest points, level up your guild. When you can have those multi-reward activities and it's got that social component, that's why we play MMOs instead of, booting up Battlefront 2.
Right.
So, which, I'm having fun with that too. I got to unlock Anakin Skywalker yesterday, but that's probably a different podcast. I've been waiting for him for a long time.
Nice.
All right. So with that being said, chill. Let's move along.
All right, that brings us to the Hollow Feed where we go over the news and breaking news just before the show. In fact, it's lucky that I did one last little check on this, but we do have now information on the Old Republic Community Cantina that's going to be in Chicago for Star Wars Celebration. And they write, to coincide with Star Wars Celebration event, with the event happening from April 11th to April 15th, 2019 in Chicago, there will be a Cantina event. This is your chance to join the Star Wars The Old Republic community for a Q&A with the development team, complimentary drinks, giveaways, and more. Attendees will also receive Cantina exclusive swag. Space is limited, so be sure to come early. If you're in the area and would like to hang out, be sure and stop by and meet everyone. The venue will be the Marriott Marquis Chicago in the Grand Ballroom. The address is 2121 South Prairie Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be on Saturday, April 13th, and it's going to be from 7 to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is, where Chicago is. So pretty exciting. So now we know that, in fact, they will be able to do Cantino. Now, we had lots and lots of hints that they wanted to do it. They've even said that they wanted to do it, but that they couldn't give any, details until they have everything locked down. But now they've got it locked down. So what do you think, Doc?
Well, I think it's really good that they've told us, that when there's a concrete truth to the question we're wondering, that makes our life more manageable. It would be super awesome if we could wish away our feelings, but we want info. We don't just want the promise of future info. And I guess saying that we're going to have an event where we're probably going to give you future info is what I just said we don't like. But this is better info than we had 30 minutes ago. So this is what I like to call progress.
Yeah. I agree. And this is yet another indication that we're going to hopefully get something really big, possibly, because we know they've been talking about the upcoming expansion. But, hopefully we'll get information at that cantina. Certainly everyone's hoping for that, but we'll have to wait and see. That's not that far off. So we're basically like a month and a half off from that. So very exciting. I'm sure, obviously SWTORista, I'm sure will be there with bells on. Dekion and Fee, who are doing things with SWTORista at the actual celebration, I'm sure will be there. And I'm sure there'll be other people, who connected with OotiniCast who will be doing stuff too. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good reports and get all kinds of good things going on there. Don't know exactly what else they'll be doing, if they'll be able to live stream part of the cantina or anything like that, like they've done in some of the previous ones. Very exciting to see what happens though. And yeah, that's just 6-7 weeks away. Pretty quick, but it'll come up really quick.
Yeah, that's going to come up before we even realize it. Yeah, so I'm excited to see that they're doing it because I don't know how EA has been doing with live events ever since the unfortunate Jacksonville. I don't even want to say what it was because that dignifies it. But it's good to see that that's been worked out and now we can have events. And, I really am happy that our community gets to be part of Celebration. In fact, I think I saw on Twitter, maybe posted by Zamzam, that StarWars.com mentioned our game yesterday, which is a rarity. Just, what? That game still exists? I thought we shut that down in 2013. No, they had a contract. Okay, so, I'm glad to see that, hopefully with Anthem, it's here and, we have the influencers being pretty active in that game from what I can see. And I hope that it does really well. And I think that can be a good opportunity for our game to go into maybe a 6.0 era or maybe 5.9.12. or 5.12.1. I don't know how that works, but You know,
Right.
maybe add a
It's
second
all good.
boss to the Hive Queen layer. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
and
dream.
Dekion mentions in chat, didn't they have to cancel the last one? Yes, they did cancel the last live one, and then they had like a developer stream instead to sort of make up for it with some of the information. They canceled it, as I recall. That was it was after there was some shootings at the gaming convention in Florida. And then what they were doing was basically everyone within EA was having to like redo all of their security measures for live events, and they were still in that process. And because it hadn't been finished, because that security update hadn't been finished, they were not allowed to go forward with that one. It sounded like it was it was really almost coming from more on high, than anything else. I'm sure they would have loved to have done it, but yeah, because they were still in the middle of updating the security procedures, they were not able to have a live one. But now, obviously, they will. So I'm sure they'll be. I'm sure they've got all those bugs worked out, though. So very exciting to see that's coming up for sure now. Because we kind of we had lots of hints, but now we know for sure. So that's good. There's another bit here. A few days ago, Eric wrote just sort of in general, one called "What's Next," and he wrote with 5.10.1 out the door. I know you're curious what's coming next, and what he writes then about his bugs from 5.10.1, still a few issues that popped out on 5.10.1, including Vet causing hitching, which I heard about. It didn't happen when I had Vet out as companion in the Kotet storyline and so on, but apparently some people, if they were just out in the world and they brought out Vet, it was causing like crashes and stuff. So yeah, so the next planned patch was 5.10.2, but they would love to get a bug fix patch out sooner than that if they can. It wouldn't be huge, but getting a few of the fixes out sooner is something they're actively investigating. Let's see, 5.10.2, which he of course just mentioned, the next update is coming. We're prepping a couple of blogs around what you can expect, and look for more info on this update in early March. So that should be coming out in the next week or so. So we'll be definitely talking about that in the next show.
Yeah. So promise of future information in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's also an earlier mention about the Cantina coming in April, but now we have the details on that, so we don't need to go over that. But there's a fairly big thing going on in the forums now with Eric and the community. And it really kicked off with something called Gathering Feedback. This is from the 22nd. And Eric wrote, I wanted to kick off a thread and add some clarity on influencers, plus seek out some feedback on feedback. First, the clarity. I think there became a misconception that we're in constant communication about game updates and future content with the influencers that the rest of the players aren't receiving. This isn't true. Since they're under NDA, there are situations where they may hear info earlier, or maybe a sounding board for ideas, but it's extremely infrequent. A lot of our communications happening with them in their forum is logistical, such as sharing their content and so on. And second, the feeling that we weigh their feedback more than other players, which is also not true. The influencers are a great source of a snapshot of their community, so they can give us a feedback from a number of players at once. However, this in no way means that we weigh the feedback that comes from them differently than the feedback we receive here on the forums, on Reddit, from PTS, social media, or any other sources. So that was pretty interesting. Let's see. And do you want to say anything else about that right now, Doc? Because then he kind of moves on to the other subject.
Yeah, no, we can keep moving through Eric's posts. It's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's definitely been my experience. I mean, I am in the influencer panel, and we do occasionally hear from them, but it's not usually actually about like what's coming up with the game. They're usually pretty good about doing that to the public at the same time they do it with us. So yeah. So yeah. Eric continues, I definitely hear the genuine concern, though, that we, BioWare, are not gathering your feedback as much as you want us to be. This is something that over the past year or so we've really made a lot of strides to improve, and so the question I want to pose is, how can we improve further? Let me talk about the various sources that we collect and respond to feedback, and based on that, talk about how we can do it better. PTS. This is one of the places we have put in one of the largest efforts, and boy, that's true. There's been a lot of influence, or a lot of effort and time a lot of special notes and stuff put out about the PTS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe a year ago, you really wouldn't hear much. There wouldn't be very many PTSs, or the ones that were just weren't being like really talked about in the forums and so on. But yeah, once an update goes on PTS, the team has been very ravenous in grabbing any and all feedback we can get. This goes from bugs to general change requests. We can't always account for all feedback, and sometimes it may be at odds with design goals, but the team works to change as much as we can before we launch it. We have similarly moved away from announcing specific launch dates so that we can work with you during the PTS to get the update to a good place before going live. That all makes sense. He goes on to forum posts. In some cases, we either won't have enough time on PTS to get meaningful feedback, or it isn't something that will go on PTS at all. In these instances, we've been trying to make detailed forum posts to highlight exactly what you can expect, so we can gather feedback even without your ability to get hands-on. Think of the Guild Perks posts. General feedback. This is a constant stream of feedback coming from you, the players, to us. This comes from a large number of sources, but primarily here on the forums, Reddit, and social media. Planned feedback sessions. This can happen in a few different forms. We used to more prominently use PTS in a closed environment under NDA, although we've moved away from it. We also host focused testing sessions. Most commonly, these are in Austin, but we have hosted them all over the world. They are hand-recruited sessions under NDA and are typically very early in the process. And finally, data. This isn't feedback, but data is very important in our feedback cycle, as we will compare the information we're receiving from any sources to what we are seeing in the behavior of players. And then with all of that out there, how can we improve? I know our feedback loop is by no means perfect, but being able to gather your feedback consistently for each update on the PTS has helped us quite a bit in getting direct feedback from you. Share your thoughts. Thanks. And then Eric. And that kicked it off, and there was quite a bit. There was extra posts after that, and Eric then got more specific, not just in asking for more feedback or feedback about feedback, like how they're handling feedback and how they're handling communications and so on, but he actually started asking more specifically for like things you'd like to see with updates. Would you like to see more new planets? Would you rather see more expansions of existing planets, or a little bit of both? For me, it's be a little bit of both. Just I'm always happy to see a new planet, but I'm always interested in seeing what they do with an existing planet as well. So like in Kotet, the first chapter is on Voss, and we haven't seen Voss since the game first launched, and you go through Voss as part of the class story. All of a sudden, you're back on Voss. Chunk of Voss gets hurt, gets wrecked. You actually you see what's going on there, and it doesn't last past the chapter, but it was still really cool to see it. So yeah, I'm always happy to see both, because on the other hand, I love Osis, and I love the fact they were able to find like just a new flavor for a planet. It was the whole rusty red soil and everything. I think is just really cool.
Yeah. On that, there's so many planets already, Chill. Can you imagine how trippy it would be going back to Voss if, there's mountains, there's rock formations. If there was just a door, like an instance for an 8-man group or 16-man group, and they didn't tell us what it is, and someone's just there and they probably think it's a heroic, but then some group goes in and there's this boss that kills them in 8 seconds. And it's like, what? Like this is an MMO. And, that's the that's the thing about the PTS. It's great. It gives them data. It lets them see how players interact with something that they're building. But the PTS causes a lack of surprises. And some people like surprises. Like, not everything in the real world is telegraphed months ahead of time. Like, I'm going to get in my car to go to the school, and the interstate is going to have a jam. I don't get a PTS that says, how are you going to drive in a traffic jam? I mean, that's a weird stretch. That's just where my mind is at. But, we live in a world where why is all the new stuff just on Osis? Right? Like, Tatooine is not a dead planet. The only planet that eventually gets obliterated and has no value is Alderaan, but this is the Old Republic. We don't have to worry about that.
Right.
So,
in fact, we know Alderaan's not going to get destroyed because it can't for
right.
thousands of years.
Right. So the only sign that Alderaan dies is just the tone of the music, which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful and sad, like Leia's memories of her mother. So that's just where my mind's going. Is this post is about, we need to trust BioWare that they know what they're doing. I think about what communications were picked up by Eric and the team that generated the need for this post. And, it's nice for them to remind us that they're listening and this is how we contact them, but we don't necessarily, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, listeners, but we don't deserve this post. We really don't. Like, we just need to trust them that they're going to keep building a game that we enjoy playing. If they don't talk to us for 45 days, oh no. Like, they're going to put something on the PTS. They're going to fix it. They're going to update it. They're going to work on the bugs. They're going to make it go live. They're going to work on the bugs again. And then we've been playing this game for 7 years. We know this dance. And, Eric's been doing this a long time. I implicitly trust that he's paying attention to what's in the game. And I'm not an influencer, so I could, I guess, say the exact opposite of that, probably. But this is how I feel. Like, it's nice to have clarification, but I really hope that this clarification isn't coming because of this growing angst in the community that they forgot about us, because I don't think they forgot about us. It's just a really big game launched, and all hands are on deck, and we still got a new boss on a new planet in the middle of all of that. So I trust them right now to not have to post things like that if they don't want to.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to move down a little bit. There was a bug on the Tulak Horde server that was affecting mail. For some reason, it was only affecting Tulak Horde, not the other servers. And they did, in fact, do a little downtime on Tulak Horde to fix that. And apparently it's back to normal. That was a few days ago. There's an interesting suggestion here about disabling the guild perks for the dummy parsing, because people love, if you're like a serious operations person, you're going for like the real in-game content, and you really need to know what your numbers are, then dummy parsings are important. And if you have certain guild perks up, it might do things to the dummy that won't do it to an actual operation boss, and will throw off the numbers. So so Eric said, hey, once I have those details, I can share them. Yes, the initial conversation was that they believe it is possible, but now they need to explore how to proceed to achieve it. To alleviate your concern, any change we make here would only impact parsing on dummies. So
I think that there needs to be the droid that sells you the stuff you use on the dummy. It needs to start selling blue milk, and blue milk makes you unaffected by guild perks while you're on your ship.
That would work.
There you go. I'm not even charging you for that one, BioWare. Blue milk cancels guild perks while on your starship.
Right, then we've got Season 10 ranked rewards. They are, we even talked about this in the last show. The ranked rewards are mostly coming out, but the top 96 were sort of a little delayed because they wanted to make sure the appropriate players were getting rewarded, and then they were reviewing that, and that was going to be coming out. And let's see, and then the comms from Season 8 and 9 have not been converted, but that will be happening in 5.10.2. So yeah, skipping down, cartel market hairstyles. I thought this was interesting because it's not so much because it's a huge bug, but because it was an interesting little look at how complicated running an MMO is. The bug is regarding cartel market hairstyles still showing up green when selecting the color black. Cartel market hair not showing as black is a fairly complex bug. I want to lift the hood, and this is from it was from Eric, was it not? Yes, it was from Eric. I want to lift the hood and talk about some process stuff internally that has led us to where we are right now. We have a pretty strict rule that we do not make changes to cartel market items once they are live. That makes sense, because otherwise, if you make a change and people decide they don't like it, do you have to, refund them? Do you have to do something else? Yeah.
This Great thinking ahead. Great thinking ahead.
Yeah, exactly. But he says this doesn't apply for seriously broken items, such as items that are not functioning or breaking characters, for example. The reason for this rule is simple. Players have spent money for something, and changing it after purchasing means we've adjusted something that they have spent money on. We have broken this rule before, but it is rare. The hair color on these hairstyles has been bugged for a long time, since they were released. We very recently did another full deep dive investigation into exactly what was causing this bug, to see if we could fix it, and the overall impact it would have if we adjusted it. Since this is a high visibility issue that is frustrating for players who are seeing it, this is one of those rare cases where you would have considered changing a live cartel market item. What our investigation led to is that the way colors are applying to the cartel market hairstyles isn't correct. The only place this is noticeable is for black, but in truth, it is across the spectrum. The downside of this is that if we were to fix the bug that is causing this, it would actually change how every single color looks on CM hairstyles, not just black, and that would have a pretty substantial impact on a lot of players and their chosen hair. With that in mind, we are in a holding pattern on this issue, as we are unable to fix it without a broad game impact that we are unwilling to make at this time. If we find any way to adjust this in the future, we will, and that investigation is ongoing. One thing that did arise from this is that we realized that there were incorrect setup steps happening on hairstyles which were causing this bug, and future hairstyles will not have this problem. I know this may not be the greatest of news for those of you with this bug, but I wanted to make sure you have all the information around what is causing the issue and why we aren't implementing a fix for it at this time. So yeah, very interesting to sort of get some of the details on this one.
Yeah. I want to just point out that although maybe I need to redo the study, when I did my dissertation, the number one motivation for people to make choices with how they play or how they build their character is appearance. It's customization.
Right.
It's about Star Wars Barbie dolls. And if everyone who picked the light brown suddenly has neon orange, then that could be a situation where massive refunds are being called for, and our community is offering to free of charge put BioWare employees' heads on spikes. And so I think anytime you're messing with something that's going to impact how things look, you basically have to balance how bad is it if we leave it alone, how good is it if we succeed at fixing it, and then how catastrophic does it become if we break the whole thing.
That's right.
Right? And so it's just one color. Black doesn't work right on certain hair colors. In our chat, though, Decion has a nice comment. He said, add another hair color called black. You're welcome, BioWare.
That's one way to do it.
I mean, I seem to remember the cartel market has expansions to certain options for character creation, where it used to cut off at 10 and now there's up to 14, and those are highlighted yellow if you have unlocked them on the bar. You know what I'm talking about, Chill? Because you create characters more than me. So I think that's right. How does that work if you've unlocked the extra options?
Yeah, it shows up on the right side of the bar, and yes, it'll actually kind of highlight the ones that are like cartel market ones.
So actually that black comment would work. Like, just make it a cheapo. If it's a concession and it's not legitimately a new item, just make it 50 cartel coins, and the people who need that black for certain hairstyles can spend the equivalent of 50 cents to add that to their legacy.
All right. I think that's enough on that.
Yeah.
There's a notice about an upcoming collection sale. This is exciting for all the Space Barbie people out there. One of the pieces of feedback I've noted is not bringing news updates or announcements here into the forums. Going forward, whenever we have an announcement in articles or the social platforms, I will carry them over to here as well, which brings us to this. There will be a collection sale happening next week. All collection unlocks will be 50% off. It will start on March 4th at 6 a.m. Central and last the entire week. Since this is a sale that covers a large scope, I wanted to give as many players a heads up as possible. When the sale goes live, we'll have a brief article highlighting it. And that was from Daniel Steed. And Daniel Steed is the new person on the community team. He's the community coordinator. So Eric is, I believe, the community manager, I believe is his title. Anyway, he's the other person on the community team. But now they do have two. And so especially the last few days, a lot of the messages from the devs on the forums and in other places is from Daniel Steed, who calls himself Dan. His first message was, "I'm Dan, like Dantooine, but the tooine is silent." So
And chill, always two there are. We just figured out the second.
That's right. But which is the master and which is the apprentice? I think we know, actually. All right. As Musco alluded to in a post last week, I joined the team a few months ago and serve as the new community coordinator. Some of you may be now wondering, if I've been here a few months, then why am I just making myself known? Well, let's go over everything that I work on. Primarily, I handle everything involved with the articles that we create. This covers the whole process from start to finish. On top of this, I handle all the social posts across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as the game launcher itself. Over the past few months, those were handed to me piece by piece, as Musco trained me accordingly. Once I had all these tasks under my belt, it was our plan to start transitioning me from solely working behind the scenes to having a presence here on the general forums. So, here we are. I've been reading the general feedback here, especially within the past week, and has been received. There's a lot that can be improved on, and I'm working on fixing some of those issues. Going forward, whenever there's a new article or news update, I will also create a thread here in the relevant forum to spread the word of whatever the subject is, as well as prompt a discussion about it. For example, later this week, we'll be announcing the specific details involving our community cantina event happening around Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, which we've now talked about. At the same time as I publish the article to the site, I will then create a thread highlighting it. Throughout March, we will announce what we'll be involved with for Game Update 5.10.2 between game features and technical updates. I've also been working with Charles on something we'd like to bring back, which are short stories. Now, since a lot going into the making of these, it's hard to pinpoint when the first one will be published, but it's a safe bet to say that it will be sometime this spring. Another strong sentiment, which is kind of, I'm going to stop there. They've done a few stories over the years. I think about 2-3 years ago was when there was sort of a bump of them. There was several of them kind of in a row almost. It's always interesting to see, so I'd love to have some more of those.
Yeah.
Another strong sentiment that I've noted, Dan continues, is the lack of a roadmap. Unfortunately, while that falls outside of my scope, in the spring or summer, I would like to build a web content roadmap. This will list all the planned articles, including update announcements. These wouldn't have a hard date, but they would all be narrowed down to approximate months. For example, the Game Update 5.10.2 news would be listed as coming in the first half of March in a model like this. I've been working a lot behind the scenes to lay down the groundwork for the upcoming year, and the fruits of that will start to bear in the upcoming months. Hopefully this post has been able to shed some light on the path we've been taking in 2019. So, welcome, Dan. That's great.
Yeah,
Eric. Yeah, we know that early on there was a community team, but it's been just Eric for a little while now. So I'm sure he's happy to have extra help and be able to bear some of the burdens and be able to take care of new things that have had to go by the wayside and so on. So great that they have a new community coordinator, and very exciting for him and for us covering the game.
I prefer to imagine that Eric just serves the supreme leader better, and he survived all these years. Right, so good luck, Dan. You have a good name, by the way, but hope the force is with you.
All right, and then So that brings us to the end of the SWTOR news, but we do have a couple of pieces on Star Wars in general. The first one is regarding Star Wars Celebration, and at Star Wars Celebration, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will lead a galaxy of games coming to Celebration Chicago. Fans will get a first look at the next big Star Wars game and more. And so in a special panel on Saturday, April 13th, so that's going to be the same day as the Cantina, EA and Respawn will pull back the curtain on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, in which gamers will meet a Padawan who survived Order 66 and explore the galaxy in the time after the fall of the Jedi Order. So this is obviously early Empire times. The discussion will feature never-before-released details ahead of the game's fall 2019 release. Beyond this exciting debut, fans can invade the exhibition floor to try out other games, including Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and Star Wars Pinball, Zen Studios' innovatively immersive take on an arcade classic. So, it sounds like an RPG, which kind of interests me, but how about you, Doc?
I mean, I'm always excited for a new Star Wars game.
Mm-hmm.
I say to people all the time, either, casual conversation or to my closest friends, if you take any game and then you put the Star Wars coat of paint on it, I'm going to like it more. There's just something about an environment that has the Force and swords being lightsabers and guns being blasters. And I love this galaxy so much. And that's why I like SWTOR, is it's an MMORPG that looks like Star Wars, and it is Star Wars. So I think Galaxy's Edge can be great. I have not been pursuing any information about it because I don't want to get involved in the hype train on any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, you said Galaxy's Edge, but you mean the Fallen Order?
Fallen Order, yeah, sorry. I was looking at the notes and read the
next
wrong
order.
thing.
Yeah.
Next
bit.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm trying to stay off the hype train on everything.
Right.
I find for me that it's easier for me to walk in with a clear mind and enjoy a thing. And I think that The Last Jedi proved that the more you think you know based on all these sources, the easier it is to get poisoned by what is in preference for something that isn't even a reality. And, I want to see what this game is. I don't want to really know. I don't really want to mark my calendar and be waiting for it to come out. Like, my life is unmanageable right now. So when there's a point where a game comes out and I have time to play it, then I will play it. And
right.
It's Star Wars, so I will play this one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with this sort of game, especially, it doesn't sound like something that's going to really be. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is more MMO-ish than they're making it sound like. Maybe it sounds like an RPG, but maybe it's more MMO.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's assuming it's an RPG, then you'll have years before before it becomes like unavailable for you to experience it. So that's fine.
Yeah, or even if it's a game that's story-driven with cinematic set pieces, kind of like an Uncharted kind of thing where, the leveling up is really just from finding new weapons or noticing how to interact with the environment in different ways, but it's not like your strength stat is too low to kill the boss in time.
Right.
That I don't know which way, because the MMORPG model, the stat-based thing, it appeals to a very specific audience, and I see Star Wars as being a much more broad audience that probably doesn't get that niche approach to content anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to make a game a certain way and it appeals to 40% of people who own those consoles, and they can make it this other way and it now appeals to 65% of people who own those consoles, that way is going to win.
Right.
So.
Okay. And speaking of Galaxy's Edge,
Yeah.
yeah, there was an article that basically came out today. I think there's a few versions of it out online, but the one I took, and it's pretty well written, is from CNN, and it's called "Disney's New Star Wars Theme Park Lands Are Coming to a Galaxy Near You," and it's all about the Galaxy's Edge, which we've known for some time is coming, but it has quite a bit of new detail that I'd never heard before. Basically, Galaxy's Edge is going to be the nice thing. I want to kind of bottom line it because there's a lot here. Bottom line is they're going to make it as immersive as possible, and so what they're doing is they're actually creating it as a new planet, Batuu, an Earth-like planet full of giant, ancient, petrified tree stumps, up to 135 feet in the parks, located in the uncharted Outer Rim. And then basically everything they do is kind of revolving around the idea that this is immersive. So one of the things that I like that they mentioned is while there will be merchandise sold, it won't be like t-shirts that say Star Wars on it, because people in Star Wars don't know about Star Wars. It would be, you know, it would be related to Galaxy's Edge, but it wouldn't break immersion, which is really cool. And the toys in it would be similar, where they wouldn't necessarily reference, you know, the fact that it's Star Wars, but rather it would be something that you might find here on Batuu, which is a really cool idea. There's the main town is called Blackspire Outpost, named after one mysteriously dark tree stump, which was once along the main trade route, but it now has become more of a haven for smugglers and traders. The First Order has also just arrived, so we now know what time frame this is. This is Last Jedi sort of time frame, roughly. Looking for evidence of the Resistance. A theme park attraction doesn't normally require a story or timeline, and for some guests it won't matter. But this is Star Wars, which is foremost an epic myth. To be authentic, a fictional destination like Batuu needs to fit on a galactic map and within the established narrative timeline. And in this chapter, however, you're invited to be a character. And so there's two interactive attractions, aka rides, at both parks that combine and propel the tech mastery of Lucasfilm and Disney into hyperspace, and each of them is massive in scale. One is called Rise of the Resistance, and it's a cinematic experience with a ride inside. Your adventure will take you inside the corridors of a rebel base in ancient sacred caves, which is similar to Yavin 4, and onto a troop transport ship, where you'll be captured by a Star Destroyer and then thrown in a prison cell block where you belong, rebel scum. Many of the surprises of Rise are still under wraps, but cameos include Rey, Poe, Finn, Kylo Ren, and BB-8, a John Williams score, and that's true. In fact, there was a little news note I don't think we mentioned. It was about a month ago, where John Williams is in fact writing a special score just for this. Those classic...
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Those classic blue Rebel light panel battle maps, a full-size AT-AT transport walker, and a massive Star Destroyer hangar bay with a window looking out into space. It will be one of the longest rides in the park and require Disney's cast members to join in on the action. How cool is that?
Yeah. They're going to knock this one out of the park.
This sounds amazing already.
They have the best minds in theme parks all clustered there, figuring out how to do something cool with the best IP on the planet. So, I mean, I guess I just created a hype train. Get ready to be let down, everybody, after everything I just said. But it's going to be great. I used to work at Disney, so I guess I'm biased, just for context of what I just said. I think it's going to be really awesome, and it's going to take some of the other theme park worlds that we've gotten to see that we also think are fantastic, and I think this one's just going to top everything that we've thought of as being what we're looking for in a theme park. I really do.
Yeah. All right. And the other attraction, Smuggler's Run, will let you pilot the Millennium Falcon on a cargo mission. The most self-feed part of Galaxy's Edge will no doubt be with the docked, full-scale, 100-plus foot long, movie-perfect Falcon that can be viewed from all angles, even from above. Wow. Yeah, so...
Wait, so selfie is an official thing in the Star Wars galaxy now?
Well, you know. The Smugglers Run mission is directed by next-generation animatronic Hondo Okana, a Star Wars character who's only ever been rendered in animation, Clone Wars, and Rebel TV shows, and also books and games. As a crew of 6, you fly a mission on the Falcon, which is fast enough for you, old man. The level of your collective success is determined by how well you pilot and shoot your way out of trouble. To reward getting back in the queue, Smuggler's Run has so much variability that, like a video game, each ride will be unique. Wow. Again, it's like, it sounds amazing. I can't wait to try it. So,
well, I mean, they've dabbled in that with the update to Star Tours, right? Like it's like a decision tree, and each phase of the ride has different potentialities.
Mm-hmm.
And then when there's new content added to the ride, like they do a patch update, they increase the likelihood of getting the new scene, and then it goes back to status quo once everyone's done riding the ride specifically for that new scene. And so they're taking that and they're just injecting it with steroids, it sounds like, and making it something that is customizable even beyond that idea. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yep. And there's a little bit more, but I'm going to skip down to below a really cool picture of like a vendor stall. The vendor stalls won't look or feel like a typical shop. Toys will appear handcrafted, and your new knitted Ray doll, cantina instrument, or fuzzy roaring tauntaun won't come in a plastic box. A creature-only shop is where you can get your own talking, flapping porg, among other alien pets. So that's really cool. I like the idea that they are sort of keeping the immersion within that area, and you would actually be buying things that would potentially be available on that planet.
Yeah, I wanna buy charred and burnt up garbage that used to be part of a TIE fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in a package that says, Disney Lucasfilm Limited on the bottom. Like, it just is sitting on a shelf and it's junk. And a kid walks up and says, "Hit the nose."
Right. And similarly, the food will also be sort of immersive as well. So the in-universe menu created specifically for the Black Spire area includes Kadu sticky ribs. This animal, which Jar Jar Binks rode on screen, tastes like pork, and fried Endorian tip-yip chicken, aka chicken, and the hummus pita and spicy vegan meatballs made by Earthlings at Impossible Foods is out of this world delicious. Let's see. And blue milk, first seen in episode 4, and green milk, less than appetizingly introduced in The Last Jedi, will be on tap.
Awesome.
And then other non-alcoholic drinks include an Arnold Palmer-esque Tatooine Sunset, a refreshing sweet and sour Sarlacc, and moof juice. I'm laughing already. It's good stuff.
So many people are going to be called moof milkers in that restaurant.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Very exciting. It's so cool. I can't wait for someone to, I just know I'm not going to be like the first one in line. As much as I'd love to be, that's just not going to happen. So if anyone, listen to the OotiniCast and they're, one of those first dayers or first weekers, if you wanted to report to us and as soon as it opens and let us know what it's like and what's going on and what you thought about it, we'd love to hear about it. So yeah, very exciting. So, all right, that will bring us to the force feedback, and we have a tweet that was sent out by SWTORista, our previous guest, and SWTORista wrote, "We've had some fantastic news from Lucasfilm. Not only, and as you might remember, SWTORista is having a fan table inside Star Wars Celebration, so this is all related to that. We've had some fantastic news from Lucasfilm. Not only was our artwork approved for the SWTOR fan community at Star Wars Celebration, we also got permission for #SWTOR family members who can't attend to order some too and have it mailed. And that sale ends March 5th. And there's a link at SWTORFanCommunity.com/swag. And then she has a bunch of pictures of some of the approved artwork. And it says basically all of them say the SWTOR fan community, and then it has a picture of some of the famous people from Star Wars: The Old Republic. So there's a Satele Shan, Darth Malgus, Jace Malcolm, Shay Vizsla, and also from the Osis story, Tawader and Venzalo. Very cool.
Yeah, they're really nice looking. Check out the patch notes if you want to see them, or track down the tweet.
Yeah, and those are the buttons. There's also a postcard, which is Darth Malgus or Jace Malcolm. So it's all really cool. So congratulations, SWTOR. That sounds like things are coming along really well. Definitely, yeah. Dekion says check him out, and I agree. You can follow her on Twitter, SWTOR, and that's probably the easiest way to find it. And yeah, so go from there. Let's see. Was there anything else, Doc?
No, that's a good show, Chill.
All right, then that is a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our
Rage Utini
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for us all on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. And we record the show live bi-weekly on Thursdays, usually at 6 p.m. Pacific. For the next couple, we'll still be at this unusual time. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and we'll see you next show.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks for coming, everyone. Like I say, this will be edited and go out as a podcast tomorrow. And then usually it automatically, this raw version goes out on YouTube pretty much almost the instant I hit the stop broadcast. It like, boom, it's like it's up within minutes. So anyway, have a good one. And thanks for coming. All right. So I'm going to stop the stream and get over to the broadcast and stop the broadcast.